Greetings and welcome to Empower 11. This is the 1 hour show we bring to you every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. My name is Jack Voorhees, and I am here today with my beautiful and talented co-host, the amazing Ann Ribley.
Hello there, Jack Voorhees. Happy to be doing this show with you. You are amazing. You are a genius in business and a warm, compassionate person. Really, your warm compassion is an interesting part of you mixed with all
Keep
your
going.
business genius.
Okay, more. Keep going. So we have a really great show for you today. But first, I would like to talk about something that Ann is doing, and she is having a teleconference. Want to tell us about your teleconference?
Yeah, it's actually a teleseminar I'm doing. And I'm doing it this Friday before the full moon, which is going to be a super moon. And
What's the date? Friday, 21st?
yeah, 21st. But actually, if you go and opt in on my website, you can get a replay if you miss it at that time. So either way, make sure you check it out, because I'm going to go over the power of doing a full moon ritual and how we can really realign ourselves, because the reason why this is going to be a super full moon is because the moon, the sun, and the earth are going to be in perfect alignment. And when we're in that perfect alignment, which is what a full moon is, that's why the moon is bright, because the sun is behind it. The difference, though, this is the closest that the moon is going to be to the earth. And so it amplifies a lot of power. And the full moon is about recognizing those areas of our life that are dark that we need to bring light to. And that really is the phenomenon that happens naturally. So synchronizing with it just really boosts our ability to create results and to liberate ourselves from anything that feels heavy in our life.
So in the show notes, we'll put a link so that you can opt in and you can be a part of that if you wish. And I'm looking forward to it. I know that there's something to the full moon, because people can start acting a little crazy, and I know that we're made up of mostly water, and I know that the moon affects the tides, affects water, so that should be pretty cool.
Well, okay. First, Jack, before we go on to the show, I had asked you, what did you think about the full moon ritual when I began introducing it to you several years ago? Because you being a business genius that you are, you like things to have some sort of reason and logic to it. And sometimes I can feel outside, even though we all know that we're connected, that can feel outside of this understanding with ourselves.
Well, I thought at the very least it's bringing awareness of, with this ritual that we do, that we write down things that we want to relinquish, that we want to let go of.
Yeah.
And, I thought that at the very least it's important to have the consciousness. But then I do believe there's something about writing it down and we burn it, and you're going to go over all that stuff. But
the point I wanted to say is that you said that you've been around long enough and you've seen it in action that it's undeniable.
Well, I know that you have your ways that defy convention, and you're like Bewitched, with the nose and make things happen. So,
hey, that's what we're going to talk about today, is about getting our own personal law, which is our own personal way, into synchronization, into alignment, so that we then can accelerate our own law of attraction. Last week we talked about the accelerating the law of attraction, which is just understanding that concept that the law of attraction is at work, but how can we begin to accelerate it? And then today we're going to focus in on that inner world, which is where our personal operating system is coming from, that is having an impact on whether we're accelerating or not our own personal law of attraction.
Yeah, I think that many think that it's somewhere out there, that this law of attraction is out there and they need to like ping it somehow, and then it's going to bring some things towards them, but they're not aware of how they are living their lives, how they are how they are being like in a place of really honest truth with themselves, and the way that they are behind doors is the way that they are in public. I think that there's often this. I think that many think it's all out there when it's really most of it is from the inside. It all starts from the inside first.
Well, that's the idea of how do you really begin to accelerate the law of attraction, and then also understanding your own personal laws that you're operating from that are actually influencing it. And what you just described, Jack, is like understanding people think that it's about this motivation. If I motivate these certain behaviors out into the world, here's what I'm going to attract back to me. But today's show is about getting to this more inspirational place within ourself where we are in spirit. We are inspired and in spirit and that wholeness with ourselves, because that then influences our motivation and how we're reciprocating with our world around us.
So this we talked about this congruency, and then the Empower 11 symbol. It's about getting your insides to match your outsides and getting congruency. But we're also talking about this place of congruency where it's what you are and not so much of what you think. What you think can definitely influence, have its influences, but it's actually what you are, what you embody.
Yeah, it's actually getting to this understanding that what we are is not just this mind, not just this body. It's the embodiment of the heart and soul using a mind and this body to navigate our worlds with. It's interesting if you put in actually measured the electromagnetic fields that come off the human body, that the heart center of us emanates a stronger field of electromagnetic energy that can actually be measured in much more emanation and depth around us than if you just put and measure it around the head, the electromagnetic field of the head.
So you can measure the way my heart feels about you, Ann? You can actually, is it something like a love meter?
Hey, I said this about you in the beginning because I kept saying you had this energetic pinging effect on me. So I would have to say it did not come from your mind. It had to come from your heart center, because I could feel that electricity. Like, even sometimes now you'll say or do something that's in this heartfelt way, and it's like I'll feel it throughout my whole body. And we think that this is all of the mind and some sort of like physiological or chemical reaction that's actually happening to us, but it's really, we are energy, and our energy is either moving us up a scale of empowerment or reducing that scale of empowerment within ourselves.
So, okay, so there's this bit of this match game kind of deal. There's this this aspect of, like love attracts love, hate attracts hate. This,
angry behavior attracts anger back at you. So there is that element of the match game for sure.
Peace attracts peace. So it's understanding. I mean, when you talk about this law of attraction, and you think you're going to attract these things that aren't a match to who you are, I mean, it just doesn't. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't line up. It's not in tune. And we always talk about the tuning fork and being in alignment. So, this is a bit of this is a mirror. Your reality in who you are. This matching up process. If it's like this outside thing, we think that we need this outside, and before we can change the inside, when it is actually the inside that has more of the influence on the outside.
Okay, so today, the power really for us to make a shift in ourselves with our personal laws of operations, that we're really having our affairs on the inside, our internal affairs, and how they're matching up with creating our external affairs. The question is how do we accelerate the law of attraction, and that we understand, okay, there's this match game going up. I think that today's show is really about digging deeper into the micro world of ourselves.
Micro world.
Yes.
Okay.
Of
Tell me
really-
more about the micro world.
Well, I mean, we're all walking individualized expressions of our own world. I mean, we have worlds within our worlds. Like even our bodies comprised of cells that have their own little world of operation, and then they've got to connect to the whole of their surroundings, and it goes on into the collectiveness of our body. And the more that the micro worlds are in collaboration, in interconnectiveness, we have health. And the more the micro worlds of our body take on their own agenda, their own gain, that's what would be considered cancer or unhealthy tissue, because
Yeah.
it's either not empowering the tissue around it. So today, it's like getting to our micro world that we're really creating our life with. And what is that micro world I'm talking about? I'm talking about the essence and the soul and the interaction and the feelings and the thinking. I'm talking about that world that sometimes it can be visibly seen by who we're demonstrating ourselves to the world with. And then that's inner world, who we are in ourselves privately to ourselves. What is really going on in that inner world, in that micro world of who we are?
When you talk about this micro world, I mean that really gets me thinking about my recovery process, and so for those of you who don't know, I've been in recovery. I've been involved with the 12-step programs for over 15 years now, and it was interesting when I got into this these group of people, that we are all there to love and support each other, and we are all like sharing in each other's victories, and it was such a place of love and support and everything, and it felt so good, right? And then what happened was my experience, maybe not the experience for everyone, and but my personal experience was I got really connected with a group, and we were really tight. So, we're going to these meetings when you first start, you're going to 90 meetings in 90 days, and you're going to a lot of meetings and sharing the most intimate parts of yourself, and you can really make this strong connection really quickly. And that it was great in the beginning. It seemed like really positive in the beginning.
Well, because connection feels right to us. It feels good. So
yeah.
that it felt good in the beginning because there was this powerful connection happening.
Absolutely. But then as time went on, it was like too tight. It became cliquey. Sponsors became co-signers, sponsees became groupies, and it became unhealthy because it was all kind of like fixed in this own little micro world, and I think it lost the connection of the bigger the vastness that is out there, so it became unhealthy. We weren't growing. It seemed like we were evolving, or we were revolving rather, instead of evolving.
Yeah.
And it was dangerous. People started to go back, relapse, and start to have all kinds of really unhealthy behaviors.
Okay, so everything you just described, I really believe that exists out in the politics of life, in these micro worlds. I mean, we just went through.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not just recovery. It's any type of tight knit groups. I think that when it's too tight, it's too focused inward.
Yeah,
and
it does not
focused, outward and radiating. Then it becomes unhealthy.
Well, because I was just going to say, this is something similar that just happened in this whole baseball season we went through, that we weren't a part of it, but there was a lot of politics with parents and the board members and cliques and against other cliques. And so
yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you're supposed to be
there for the kids.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the kids and setting a good example. And then it got all like, yeah,
But
Kinda
okay,
crazy.
okay, so I'm glad we're starting here with the micro world because now I want to peel it back into our lives and into more of our individual micro world in which we're operating from. And I really believe that sometimes we don't see our own selves in the true vision of where are we at today? What is really the laws of operations that we have going on in our lives? I mean, we see it all too often where we'll see a person and any of these stories can even reflect all parts of ourselves where they have great value to give to the world. They have great things to offer, yet how are they in a place where they're not getting value in their lives? How are they in a place where they're having lack when everything about them is goodness to give? Or I know someone personally, and this is another aspect. I'm just generalizing this, but what about a person who seems like who's been out of love, hasn't had love for a long period of their life, yet they're beautiful on the inside, they're beautiful on the outside. They have a lot to give, and what locks them out of a relationship from enjoying, even though they desire that on some level, and then some level they say, well, I don't need this right now, it would be too complicated. I mean, we use all these excuses excuses can be used, I should say. And there's this aspect in all of our lives. So today, that's what I want to talk about, the personal laws of operation that we each have happening.
Yeah, but okay, so go specifically to the love aspect, because I know there's many out there that are looking for love in all the wrong places, isn't that how the song goes? But that they're worthy. Definitely worthy, beautiful. You were saying, like, why aren't they attracting this beautiful love when it was you and I that attracted this beautiful love from separate corners?
And we weren't looking,
the,
even really, honestly.
Yeah, from separate corners of the country, we were drawn to each other. We found love, and yet others are like, I mean, I know there's a lot of people like, why am I not finding love? Why am I unworthy of love? What is? I mean, do you have any like?
Well, I don't even necessarily think people think they're unworthy of it. They don't understand their own personal laws that are in effect right now. That's actually blocking it from happening, and they think they're open. I think this happens. I'm using love as an example, and I also use.
I have a lot to say about your being open because many. I mean, just about everybody. If you went into a group of people, and like say you're at a lecture or something, 900 people. How many of you are open?
Everybody's hands would go up.
Everybody be like, yeah, I'm open. Of course, I'm open. But then if you drill down to it, there's all these levels of areas that they are just not open.
Okay, so I do believe that it's somewhere in the configuration of the personal laws of operation that we're functioning our life from. And I think there's many of them that are unconscious, that we're not even aware of. Mm-hmm. So the premise that we're talking about today is in our own micro worlds, we are infused with the will of God, with the will of choice, with the will of co-creating the person that we are, co-creating. So it's a collaborative experience. And many of us have, through the course of life experiences, through growing up, we have dulled our sense of co-creation. And now something's been cemented, like concrete, fixed, rigid, less flexible, less open, into these ways of being, into these personal laws of conduct that we're actually operating our life from. So today's show is about really looking at it. Today's not necessarily about how to pinpoint this new tip or trick or how to. It's really about this opening up, this discovery. Mm-hmm. And when we do that, by default, that illumination begins to shine out in our life, and a recalibration starts to happen. And it gains momentum and traction because once you become aware,
right,
you can maintain that.
So when you talk about these personal laws, these it's like there are laws, that we have in like as a society. We put laws to protect the greater good. But then we also have like personal laws that we operate by, and that's like
Our values,
Yeah,
our codes of conduct,
yeah, our character,
our cultural conditioning also
we
transfers
learn
it.
this made me feel good. This was good. I'm going to continue to operate in this way. That's my law. And then this did not make me feel good. This was not an empowering thing to do. I'm not doing that anymore, and I'm setting that as a law that
Yeah, but
I
you
will
know
not
what?
do that. And
It's
then we can break our own laws.
Okay, well, what's interesting though is people can say that did not make me feel good. I'm not doing that again, and that could actually be very disempowering because that's what could close us off, and we don't even realize it.
Yeah.
And in the other way, it can be very empowering.
So
today's
as an example, like say you went out, you tried something new, and
you got burned.
Yeah, I mean it's like
Rejected. I don't know. Messed up. There's a lot of different ways we could.
Yeah,
word it.
I went out. I tried to sail, and I crashed, and it didn't go well. So therefore, I'm not doing that again. And you kind of set that as a law without even like really consciously knowing that you set that as a law. But sailing, if you did it enough, it might find that it's like your passion.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to get to the real triggers that cause people to.
Real stuff, triggers. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, like when we were talking about relationships. Let's just go back to that point because I feel like.
Oh yeah, love, you get stung by love, and you're like, no more of that. Screw that.
Or even let's say someone doesn't say that. Somewhere in their vibration, it becomes closed off. And when you were talking about I was on the other side you were on the other side of the country. I was on the other side.
You were on the other side of the country. I was on. Yeah.
You were on the side.
No, actually, I think you were on the right side of the country because I came out here.
Okay, well, it's interesting that you say that because I have friends that use me as an example for other women who are in similar situations like me, who were like me, who are either single or starting all over or divorced or whatever, and they'll always talk about. Well, Anne, who was like not even looking for love, was living in this small town and found like totally her level of a match on the other side of the country without even looking. I mean, people say that like that to them. That's an unbelievable story because some people actually are out looking. They're trying to be open, but it's not happening. And so where is that coming from? Well, what I am proposing is somewhere in the configuration of the personal laws that we've set. Now, I'm not saying change that and it's going to change everything. I believe it starts to accelerate our law of attraction because then you got divine timing that starts to work out and what's meant for us begins to line up and match up. We are meant to be in love. We're meant to be worthy of an abundant life. And I mean, if you look at our world, we're living in a more abundant world than ever. And that's because our humanity is lining up with abundance. And as long as we do it in sustaining ways to the greater good, we can live collaboratively in that experience. It's when we take on our own agenda to gain against the greater good that we can, and it's more manufactured, that we can actually
manufactured. I know that there's this place there's this place of force over power. There's this place of trying to manufacture, and I've used this example when people are trying to fill some kind of void within themselves, some kind of area that they're just not whole in, and they try to fill it with all these, you say, objects, like, I'll feel better when I move into a better house, I get a better car, get a better lover, get a better whatever, but They don't work. It's like trying to just mask or distract from what the real core is.
Okay, and the real core is already whole and full, and it's not a hole that needs to be filled. And it's funny, Jack, because you were given a talk last night, and somebody was counterbacking in this. Where you were giving your talk, and they were talking about how they're broken. And I love how you always say, we're not broken. And I think that's a misconception that people function from this personal set of laws as if something's broken in them. and then they do broken behaviors or behaviors that perpetuate back a broken life. When you boil it down to the core and to the truth,
It's the match. It's the mirror. Then
We aren't
and
broken.
The
We're-
reality is that they aren't broken, but if they're projecting this brokenness, then that's what they're gonna start receiving back. I mean, that's what they live in. They live in this. If I'm living in a state where I feel that I'm broke, that I'm somehow broken, and then what is my life going to emulate?
okay, and it's interesting. So we're talking about this like from more of a core or soul standpoint on how someone's what are they offering up in their personal laws. But when we keep drilling down to the microcosms, the micro worlds within us,
Drill it down, baby.
that's the same place with finances, that people can really get themselves in their own barrier from accelerating their law of attraction, from accelerating the abundance that they want to bring into their lives, is because they're still operating from a broke.
Yeah,
Unworthy place.
It's funny. Like people will be. It was a real life example. A friend of mine was out of work for 2 years, and as soon as he got a job, then he got an offer for another job.
Yeah, I mean,
so what was it? When he was out there and he was looking for work, he was like, "There's no jobs. There's no jobs. There's no jobs." But as soon as he got a job, he could no longer live in the realm that there were no jobs. He knew there was jobs because he had one,
right?
And therefore another better one presented itself. Bless you, bless you. $11,000 days, Aunt Ripley.
Keep blessing it.
That's something I do. Okay, and that is something you might want to take on. I'd like to spread this good vibe out there. So when somebody sneezes and you say "bless you," why not bless them something cool?
Yeah. And actually, the reason why he blesses me $11,000 days is because we've experienced that, and it's funny because one time my son sneezed and Jack blessed him something that was good for him at his level, and he goes, "How about $11,000 days?" He wanted an $11,000 day.
Yeah, 10-year-old wants $11,000 days. Hey, that's good. I'm for that. Yeah.
So we're at this place where we're talking about how to get to this honesty, core centered place within yourself, and it not being a manufactured concept. When I say not being manufactured, it's about getting really empowering this purposeful place within ourselves. And so what does it mean to empower your purpose?
I like the word purposeful. It's full of purpose, and when you're living full of your purpose, when your purpose is in everything that you do, I mean, I just think it would be so empowering if everybody lived from their purpose, and they'd be in this place of thriving instead of surviving. And I've said this before, but when I drive by the funeral parks, whatever they're called.
Cemeteries.
Ding, ding, ding. What'd she win, Bob? The thing is, I think, is if every one of those people were living from their purpose and not just signing up for somebody else's program, not just going through the motions of life, they're really living from this really purposeful place, the world would be just such a more magnificent place. But I think now is a time. I mean, the world is changing, and I think more people are really getting into this place where they're becoming more aware, and there's like a rebalancing going on.
Well, it's not so much of our life has to be spent on survival. It is easier to survive today than ever before.
Yeah, but it's been easy to survive for a while. But I think there's like this consciousness that is really changing, this shift. There's more connectiveness, and I think a lot of it is like the internet and stuff. You can share ideas.
Oh yeah,
quicker, things like that. And I think connection is really important. I think that that's really empowering when it starts to make your world bigger.
Okay,
Instead
so
of the microcosm, tiny little cities or whatever
Well,
these things are.
Well, let's talk about empowering your purpose just a little bit more here, because this is really important to how are we functioning in our personal laws of operation, and how infused are these laws with truly what our purpose is. People think that purpose is something out there that you do in the world. They think it's a career. They think it's this super talent that you have that you get paid big money from, and suddenly the skies part and
Yeah.
money falls down on you. They really think until it's admired or respected that way out in the workforce or in the world, as if you're not in this place of high purpose. But the truth is, our purpose is in us. It's been following us our whole lives. It's the things that innately, inborn, in this original, authentic place of who we already are, that's unique and individualized to us. And we bring it to how we love, how we share in partnership, how we raise our children, what we bring to the workplace. And the more we can get into alignment with our own unique way that we're dispersing this purpose. And now we can learn skills and we can learn vocations and we can learn careers that only sharpen that place of our own purposefulness that we're bringing forth. But the more we empower purpose, and it's not a manufactured place where we're going and getting this job or this career to make this money, that is not purpose. That's a manufactured state of living.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you were talking about this authentic part. It's not. I mean, when you go deep within and you share these jewels that you have, you just you go and you find these jewels, these hidden talents or things have been following you, and you polish up these jewels and you share this beauty with the world. I mean, that is this place of authenticness, and then you have an authentic purpose. It's maybe your authentic purpose lines up with a lot of others, and you can group it in a certain area and work together as a team or whatever. And then sometimes it could be just solo artists creating your own thing. But whatever it is, you find that place, and that is just the place where, I mean, the most gratification comes. I mean, that this is the place where it's like you wake up excited for life because you're living your passion, you're living a purposeful life.
yeah, and this purpose shows up in everything that we do. It shows up in how we love our partners they're with. It's like, it was
I
interesting.
love the way you love, baby.
It's interesting, Jack, because that you when we first started falling in love, one of the things that you would say is man wasn't meant to be alone.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, and one of the things that was really ironic with me is I know I'm a partnering person. Mm-hmm. Yet I know this about myself with business. Even I do really well in partnerships in business and in life. It's part of the inbuilt purpose in me, which is to partner and collaborate. And it starts on
what a wonderful partner you are.
It starts and actually it's true though, Jack. When you say what a wonderful partner you are, is that I feel that I am that way even to myself, and that's where it begins. I do.
That you're a wonderful partner to yourself?
Yes, yeah. I do. I feel
that way.
Tell
me about that.
Well, it's this place that if you know you can count on yourself.
Yeah.
And you know that you won't throw yourself under the bus. Mm-hmm. Because
like the woman last night, I'm broken, she doesn't trust herself. She's not there for herself. And there's this thing about becoming your own best friend. And that was one thing that, like, in 2010 when I wrote the Empower Now audio, which was a letter to myself. You can get it for free on our website. Just go and opt in, and we'll send you a link for that. But it was really this declaration of like, I'm going to stop beating myself up. I mean, that's not empowering. It's like, it's time for us to be our own best friend.
Yeah, so the question would be then, in what areas of our lives do we negate our power? Do we beat ourselves up? Do we, have conversation and ways that are not empowering to ourselves? And then there's another thing is when we don't have it quite right, then we have to like try to manufacture or motivate ourselves to be something.
Yeah, it's like we think that somebody else always has to have our back. When, yeah, it's nice for others to have your back, but you need to have your own back first.
And if you can do that, then you'll know how to start collaborating and connecting and partnering with other people that'll function in that way, and you'll know how to recognize it. See, if you don't have...
It's the tuning fork. Both stand tall. It's like when you're able to stand tall on your own, and then you have a partner that's able to stand tall on their own, and those are the two prongs of the tuning fork that are connected they're connected and they vibrate together in this wonderful harmony.
Well, okay, so we're talking about like being your own best friend and not beating yourself up, partnering well, and really it comes down to acts of self-betrayal. These happen in really small acts in our life and in big acts in our life. And the more we can recognize in our own personal laws of configuration with how we love, how we share our purpose, how we function with our money, because money, I like to use the example of money because money is something that's easier to measure when we are sabotaging or when we're living in a manufactured way with money in order to substitute for something else. We're just not in that. Our personal laws are not in balance with how we're living in the outside world. It's easy to see that with money. Yeah. However, I believe acts of self-betrayal are happening.
Self-sabotage, you hear about it all the time. And I've seen it, in the 12-step programs. I see it all the time. People, they're, for whatever reason, they're constantly hurting themselves. They are their own biggest barrier.
So, I mean, we can see it in these easily demonstrable ways that you were just saying with the 12-step program. But today, for the show, what I want everybody to be able to have this opportunity is to look at their own personal laws of operation that they're running their life from, define those areas, no matter how easy and broad and big that they are, or how small and subtle and silent, because those are almost the ones that we have to really be on the lookout for, because those are the ones that are these like patterns that through time we don't understand how we're locked out of the very thing in which we want to attract in our lives. And that is somewhere in our own personal law of configuration that we're operating our life from. We have placed an area that we've done some form of self-betrayal with our purpose, with love, with connection, with our money, with how we're relating to the people we care about.
Yeah. So we need to practice this self-forgiveness, but we can't practice self-forgiveness until we actually know what they are. I mean, many have no idea. Many can be clueless to really understanding, why do these things always happen to me? Why does this happen? And there's this lack of awareness. Like last night, I mean, this woman had no idea that she was her barrier. That it was all about her. I mean, she had the ability. She has the ability to turn things around on a dime, but until she can see it, it can't happen.
Okay, I have two things to say that is really important to what you're saying. One is a how-to. This is really important, and that the how-to.
We're not at the how-to part of the program. Sorry, you'll have to wait. It's like,
no, because that you're saying that is that we can learn so much on how to do things better in our own life so we don't make the same mistakes by observing other people. And so, Jack, when you say she was her own greatest barrier and yet she couldn't see it, if we can give ourselves the ability to reflect on where are we being our own biggest barrier, we can turn on a dime the same way you said this woman could.
Yeah, and that's where some real openness, has to.
This is what you said. That's what you said with the 12-step program is you could learn more just listening to other people and their patterns and where they were at.
Yeah, you kind of see it in yourself as you witness others that
and
are
it's so clear.
Yeah, and it's so clear, and then it's like, wait a minute, that's me.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be the same degree, even if it's in a smaller degree. You just have to change that small degree.
Could be a larger degree too.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to cover that out of everything you just said, and then there's this other aspect that I think that why do we want to look at our own personal laws and how are they affecting our ability to accelerate the law of attraction? And I want to talk about karmic equity. That a lot of us are sitting around with a huge escrow of really good karmic equity, and we're our own barrier from accessing it. And all we have to do is make these subtle changes, and all this good can just bestow itself to us in ways that we really want. That's what accelerating the law of attraction is. And the karmic equity is really based on, what have we been putting into our world through time. And sometimes the karmic equity is not as good for some people, but
that's where people say, ain't karma a bitch.
Yeah,
that isn't really this place of karma, this place of karma is not like, a punishing thing. It's like it's building this equity. It's building this good vibration, this pure music that attracts the things into our lives that we want to attract, because it's becoming the flower and not the bee.
Yeah, where you can attract the bees to you instead of having to work so hard to make it happen. The equity I'm talking about in this good empowering place, or this really empowering and good vibrational place, this is that place where when we can clear out our personal laws that have been our own blockages and all the good intentions that we have really been operating in our life that we haven't allowed it to come in. This is where we're sitting with huge escrow accounts in these ways, whether it be with love, whether it be with connection, whether it be with abundance, these prosperity. There's ways that we can access all this good karmic equity that we've actually built up by just fine-tuning our own personal laws in a way of congruency, in reciprocating rapport.
When you talk about this equity, I believe that when people are, maybe they're not quite aware what their purpose is, but they're on the journey of it. They're looking, they're developing, they're experiencing, they're moving towards it, they're doing the work to figure out what it is, that by the time that they get there, they have developed these skills, these gifts that they need, in order to fulfill it.
Okay, well, we just want to define a little bit more this purpose, because I don't believe it's a destination. And I think that's what gets a lot of people hung up on their purpose, is they think their purpose is this destination that they got to land at. And that's what I was saying, like the skies part, money falls from it, the applause happens and they've arrived. And I really believe
overnight success.
Yes. Oh, that's a whole nother show.
I know.
I've been talking about this for a while. We were at an event where there was over 1,000 people there, and a speaker on the stage said, "Who here is an overnight success?" And one person raised their hand.
And it was me.
And it's like that. To me, it's such a myth to think that we can't have success overnight, because we think success is defined by this destination that we arrive at where, and the applause happens and the skies part and money falls. And the truth is that we can have success overnight. Yeah. Right now.
It's like in the 12-step program. It's like, you do it 24 hours at a time.
Yes,
You know?
exactly. So that's the myth busting. I love that stuck with me so powerfully is that, wow, how much of us have our personal laws even configured in this place that we can't have success overnight, so we don't even begin. I don't care if it's taking care of our body and exercising and losing weight, or our finances, or getting more purposeful in our life, our career, our passions, our love, any of it. It's like we can start to have success overnight because we're going to start tonight, today, and we're going to build it today, and we're going to build it tomorrow, and it's
Yeah.
the journey.
It's the steps, and it's about really digging it along the way too. I mean, when you're
Funding.
yes, when you're putting the fun and funding your life. Yes, this journey. If we are enjoying the journey, if that is it starts with the love for life. Is a big aspect for it. I mean, love is a very high vibrational, love is the most vibrational frequency out there, I believe. And, when we bring love to every thing we do and we love the journey, then the journey is more supportive.
And then the journey loves us.
Yes.
That's that match.
Love your life and your life will love you back.
Yeah, that's that match. So I just want to talk briefly a little bit more about this karmic equity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that you, the listener, you probably have a huge escrow of good karmic equity that's available to you with love, prosperity, connection, purpose. It's all available. It's just tuning our personal laws to match up with that so we can accelerate it. Now, on the flip side, how it happens in our life, because there really is this equity, and if we can start to get clear how we're building it, is it empowering us or is it disempowering us? And to deny, to delay, to avoid, to sidestep, all these aspects can start to build disempowering equity karmically in our life. I know that someone close to my family just recently is going through a divorce, and they had been married for 20 years, and it was weird because many of us saw it happening in the works. So we knew it was just only a matter of time.
Sure.
Well, the person who claimed to the other person, I'm getting a divorce, the person who didn't claim it, who felt like they received the news, totally was flabbergasted. And
yeah, it's like couldn't see it at all. It's like I've been like an absent in my marriage for 22 years because I'm drinking and drugging and whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, how did this happen? It's amazing. When we talk, if you can't see it, I mean, that is just so disempowering.
So, and then that's what happens is now, his personal laws that he had been operating his life from had created a lot of karmic disempowering equity that, it actually began to surface. And the harmful part for him is not seeing it, and still to this day not seeing it, because now it leaves him a victim. It leaves him a victim instead of understanding.
Easy to play that victim role. That is so easy to do.
But now back to this place that I'm saying
with such hard consequences as well.
Well, okay, now let's look at our lives, because today I really want to impact that we're all operating in our own microcosms, in our own way, with our own personal laws. And if there's one thing you can take out of the show is when anything comes up and it starts to feel uncomfortable, is to actually, or something that you feel you have to force, or anything in our lives, if we can start to say, what is really the karmic equity that I'm building here? What is the personal laws of operation that I have at work here? Just that awareness, I feel.
Yeah, awareness. I mean, that's
changes.
The beginning. I mean, just by bringing awareness, just by bringing things into light, can start the healing process of things to happen. You can start to ask yourself some powerful questions when you're practicing this awareness. Am I walking the walk? Or am I just talking the talk? Is who I am at home, does that match who I am out in the world? Is it only when I'm in public that people are getting the best of me? Or is it only when I'm at home people are getting the best of me? And, these things got to be a match. I mean, I know couples that fight like crazy, and then some company comes and they act like they're all like just total sweethearts and everything, and that's just, it's out of balance. It's, that can be a real place where you can kind of look at and say, yeah, I do this in my life. I need to take a look at this. That can be the awareness. I mean, we talk about aha moments. Aha moments can be really powerful. They can, because it brings awareness. And when you become aware, that can be a real key for change. But what do you implement it in your life? I mean, the awareness alone, without the action that it requires to move forward, can be somewhat disheartening, because it's like, I'm aware I'm doing this, but I'm not doing any action. I'm not and the action can just be taking ownership of. It's not all about doing. And we've talked about that as well. It's like, it's, Are we doing good because we're taught to, and we're just thinking, we think, oh yeah, I got to do this because that's the next right thing, or is that our natural state? Because if it's our natural state, that's much more karmically correct than I'm just doing it because I know that it's the right thing to do.
Or because we transactionally think we'll get something to...
Transactional, yes.
Yeah, get to satisfy an immediate instant gratification sort of level in our life, whether it be on a relationship level, on a financial level, on a business level.
Yeah, how do you think Gandhi lived his life? Do you think he was the same behind closed doors as he was he was in out in the world?
Highly respectable people who have lived more congruently, like Mother Teresa, people like Gandhi, Mother Teresa, those people we really respect it because we're hungry for that same level of congruency in our own life. I really believe that.
Yeah, we practice this in all our affairs, and then it just becomes part of us. It becomes what we embody, and we don't have to think it all the time. We don't have to constantly be using these exhaustive energies of our brains and our minds to try to weigh all the pros and cons and decide what to do. When it is who we are and we act from who we are, we do who we're doing from what we are, then it doesn't require all that exhaustive type of thinking.
Well, because back to what I said is that the electromagnetic field that emanates from us is really where we are in our heart space is the strongest emanation of who we are, not all these places in the head. And when we can function more where we're dropping down from that heart and soul space of who we are versus being so head heavy. Yeah,
I know there's men out there. I just going to speak from the man aspect that are really great during Christmas. They're really great during Thanksgiving, but the rest of the year they're shits. And that's just, that isn't. You don't get the full impact of being like say the whole year you were like acting in this place of love and compassion, and you were really there. And then on top of that, you were really great on Thanksgiving, and you were really great at Christmas. Just think of how much more power that would have.
Oh, yeah. So this place of getting to this really powerful congruence is where our power position is. And Jack, when you were talking about how you don't, people can think it, and they can acknowledge it and they can know it, but then you got to be willing to make the change. You got to be, it was reminding me of everything you were saying is what's in our Empower Flex program, that proprietary wheel of transformation we created, which is the first step is awareness, then it's acknowledging, and then it's acceptance, and then it's willingness. These are the way it moves on the wheel. And then after willingness, it's that original knowing. That's that good place, not because we think it, but because it really is truly who we are. And so
it's in the cells of who we are.
So I invite you in to stay tuned as we have more of our Empower 11 programs that are coming out. Is make sure you like us on Facebook, because this Empower Flex and this Wheel of Transformation will go more into what he was talking about with these ways for us to embrace, embody, and empower more of our natural state of being so that we can accelerate the law of attraction with ease and flow, and our personal configuration of our personal laws easily match up and line up with who we are on the inside to be congruent with the life we want to live outside in the world.
Absolutely. I want to go over a couple bullet points before we end the show with our meditational moment. And because I like to bullet point things. That's just kind of the way
I love that about you, Jack.
Give it to me straight, So we talked about walking the walk, that and not just talking the talk. We talked about, it coming from the inside first and getting inside your life. And it's less about the outside and trying to, search for it out there. It's the place about getting, and the search is on the inside because it all starts from the inside first. And it's being rather than thinking, and being good versus doing good. And we talked about watching others. So there's ways to learn from how others when we're aware of others, and we don't just think it's them. We try to relate and bring it into our own lives. How does that behavior work in my life too?
I want to say something real quick on that.
Yep.
Is that when we see that and we know that, we don't have judgment and we're not righteous about it. We use that to our own personal spiritual advantage.
Oh yeah, I mean, so many times, like in the meetings, I hear about somebody like, "Wow, are they doing it wrong?" But I don't have to judge from that. I was just like, use it as a huge tool, like
for your advantage.
Yeah, it's like, man, I do not want to do that. I do not want to go down that road.
Yes.
There's this aspect about making others visible, is letting them know they're existing. This is about the powerful force of connection.
Yes.
We briefly touched on that a little bit, but it's not staying in that microcosm. It's about expanding and and bringing our love to all that we see, to all that are out there in the world. There's plenty of love that we have that we are capable of. You have one child, you think, how could I love a child more than that? You have another child, and it's like, wow, you have just as much love. There's no lack. There's no, the canister never gets full, or empty rather.
Yeah.
It's always full.
Well, that's the thing with God energy, creator energy, divine energy. It's a come closer energy. It's an inclusive energy. It's not an exclusive energy.
Yeah, so that's one of the other things. Stay warm. It's not about being inclusive. It's not about being exclusive. It's about being open to all. I mean, we don't freeze people out. I mean, that's like an action that people do a lot of times. They do this freeze out. It's not an empowering place to be.
That's exclusivity. That's the opposite of God energy, which is being exclusive for doing the freeze out.
Right. So I think we had a pretty good show. We covered a lot of things. We did it pretty quickly. So be sure to listen to the show over again. I really like it when I hear about people that are just like taking notes as fast as they, it's
we get that
cool.
comment a lot from some of our listeners, and that's.
Yeah, and we get emails about clarification and stuff like that. But we only have an hour. It goes quick, and we're going to end the hour with the meditational moment that Ann has prepared for us. And I haven't heard it before, so I'm looking forward to hearing this. So, Ann, take it away.
So I invite you in wherever you're at. Allow this stillness to infuse in you. Allow this time to reformat and to be still and to know. We're going to set the intention of how to synchronize your personal laws so that you can then begin to accelerate your own law of attraction into more of a match of what you want in your life. Today, I'm going to look at my personal laws in operation. How am I truly reciprocating with my world? Today, I will open myself and my possibility to view the small and the large acts of self-betrayal that are standing in my way, that stand in my way to influence and accelerate this law of attraction. Today I will see myself and my life from the highest vision that allows me to truly see myself in my life. Today I will see myself in the smallest acts and energies so that I can know myself best. I will see myself in a way to empower myself as a best friend. I will guide myself to uncover empowering and disempowering ways that I have defined behaviors of patterns that have become my personal laws of operation. I see you in all the worthiness. I see you in the truth of your possibilities. Next, I will watch all the actions so that I can see them in the real vision of what's truly emanating with all my words, with my actions, with my interactions. I call upon myself to resonate lovingly, joyfully, and playfully, to become my own best friend, and to design my personal laws to match up with congruency in my body, mind, and heart of who I really am, and to accelerate my law of attraction that truly is the life that I desire. We at Empower 11 invite you to turn your life up to 11 with your inner and outer worlds. Be sure to go check out Empower 11's Empower Now audio that's free. Have an empowering week.
Thank you, Ann. And thank you, listeners and now watchers. We appreciate you and have an empowered week. We will see you right back here next week.